I still remember the slam of the front door like it was a gunshot. 16. Barely a month shy of 17. My parents' eyes were red. My sister's perfect smile sharper than any knife. "We can't have someone like you here," she said. The words weren't just cruel, they were surgical, precise. Rumors she spread, lies she spun about me, and suddenly I was the villain in my own home. My bags were in the hall, my heart shattered on the linoleum. I didn't cry, not then. I didn't scream. I walked out, and each step was measured, a silent promise I would return, not as a child, not as someone to be pitied, but as someone untouchable. Back then, I adored her. My golden sister, they called her. Everything she touched seemed flawless. The smiles she wore lit up rooms, the accolades she collected like trophies. I wanted to be near her, to be her ally, not her rival. And for a brief, foolish moment, I trusted that family meant loyalty. It started small, a misplaced whisper here, a rumor there. I brushed it off. She's just teasing, I thought. But the whispers grew sharper. Friends I trusted crossed to her side. Teachers looked at me differently. And then I found it, a diary she had carelessly left open. Every page a calculated strike, a narrative twisting me into the scapegoat for her envy, her insecurities. The betrayal didn't sting, it froze me. But my reaction wasn't tears or confrontation, it was calculation. I left town with nothing but a backpack and a resolve that was cold and precise. I learned fast. Money, influence, control, they were tools, not luxuries. I studied harder, networked smarter, and while she was flaunting her perfection, I was building a life she could never touch. Years passed. Every achievement I made, I logged silently in my mind, not for pride, but for proof. Proof that the girl who kicked me out would eventually look at me and realize the cost of her deceit. The first sign came when I heard my parents had divorced. She had convinced them I was a problem, a burden too heavy for them to bear. Now, divorced and floundering, they were circling back. It began with a call, hesitant, almost ashamed. "We've heard about your work. Could you help us?" I laughed, soft, low, the sound sharp enough to cut glass. They had abandoned me, taken her side, thrown me to the streets at 16. Now they were asking for money? Help? Redemption? I didn't respond immediately. I let it sit, let the silence do its work. My revenge wasn't in yelling or shaming. It was in timing, in control. I structured the meeting meticulously. The venue was my choice, a cafe they'd never consider prestigious, but intimate enough for tension to simmer. I arrived late. They looked at me, the same parents who'd turned their backs, eyes wide, uncertain. My sister wasn't there, but her shadow hovered, inevitable. I smiled politely, leaned back, and let them stumble over words. Then I spoke. "I hear you've been struggling. Life hasn't been kind." Their relief was palpable. They thought I'd forgive. They thought money or favors would smooth the past. "Funny," I continued, voice calm, deliberate. "I've built something you never imagined. Something you never thought I could. After you threw me out." I watched their expressions twist. Recognition, guilt, shame, it was all there, raw and unfiltered. "I can help," I said, "but help comes at a price." I presented a legal arrangement, strict, ironclad. They would receive nothing without signing agreements that guaranteed my protection, my control. Every clause was a reminder of their past failings. Every term a trap for their conscience. And my sister? She had no idea. She had no power, no leverage. She had once been golden, untouchable, perfect. Now she was irrelevant. The realization would come later, in private, and it would destroy her quietly, more effectively than any shouting match could. By the end of the meeting, they left with nothing but paperwork, their pride shredded. I watched them walk away, a strange weight lifting from my chest. Revenge had never been about humiliation. It was about balance, justice finally served. Later, I sat alone in my office, the city lights reflecting off the glass like tiny accusations. I felt calm, satisfied, not victorious in the way the movies show, but in the way that matters. They had underestimated me, my resolve, my intelligence. They had abandoned me as a child, and I returned as a force they could not manipulate. I had no bitterness left, only clarity. Only proof that when someone wrongs you with cruelty, silence and strategy are sharper than any scream. And as for my sister, she would learn soon enough that perfection is fragile, and lies, no matter how golden they seem, always tarnish in time. I leaned back, hands folded, eyes steady. The past? Gone. The future? Mine.